welcome back to That Music Junkie. My name is Nick, and with me today is Jacob Kulick.
What's up, man? How are you?
Good, how are you doing? Almost messed up your name again.
Listen. Kulik is the name that anybody has to know. It could be Jacob, it could be Jason, it could be Jerry. It's fine. Fun fact, actually, my brothers are John and Joel, and my cousins are Jordan, Jerry, and Jeffrey. So, just pick any of the J's, and I'll probably just turn my head and be like, "What's up?"
You're like, yeah, sure, yeah, okay, gotcha, whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
Kulick is the one that matters. For those tuning in, Jacob is a recording artist who goes by Kulick. Just released, you have two full studio albums out, correct?
Yes, I released an album called "Everyone I Know Will Die," which is my newest record and is not as grim as it sounds. And I have "Yelling in a Quiet Neighborhood" is also the first album that I ever released.
First one,
And I have
and
an EP out. Yeah.
right, and that was your kind of your breakthrough, so to say. The big hit off that one was Ghost, correct?
Ghost was the one. Hydroplane was the first album the EP I released with RCA, and Ghost was the one they pushed that had some success in radio. Colors is also on that. That's my most like popular and stream song. So both of those I feel like are the two real successes off of that EP.
For sure. And as you just mentioned, Everyone I Know Will Die was just released this last January, January 28th.
Oh my God, I can't believe it's been that long ago. It
Been
feels
that
like
long. We're already almost halfway through the year.
whenever that happens, I'm like, man, I really got to get writing a new album already. Like, geez, it's so quick. But yeah, January I released it. It's an alternative rock record. Um, it's something different that I made sonically, but yeah, it's definitely relating to the topic of death and thinking about your own uh, mortality. And I had a lot of crazy things happen in my personal life that year, and my partner was also diagnosed with epilepsy that year out of the blue, and I was in the hospital once a month because she kept having seizures every single month in clusters, and they couldn't figure out why.
Oh man.
And I was just in the hospital and her caretaker for 6, 7, 8 months, where it was just like, all right, I have to accept this might be how life is the rest of my life to take care of this person. And I couldn't escape it. So I was just like writing songs while having like panic attacks and running. So that's what that whole record is.
I mean, yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah, yeah. So that's like really, I always write from real life experiences. So that's just what was happening in my life. And, her name's April Rose Gabrielli, and she's also an artist and my partner. So like, I was like, am I okay to say this publicly? Because this is what I write my art about. And she's like, yeah, well, this is what I write my art about too. So yeah. It works.
Benefit about being a musician, you have those hard time, or actually just art in general. You have these things that happen in your life, and you can, wallow in it, or you can use it as inspiration, which, helps turn bad situations into potentially better situations. I would assume.
I I just don't know how people cope with things if they don't have an outlet like that. Like, it doesn't even have to be art. Like it can be I understand why people want to run or lift weights or even like do drugs. Like that's obviously not the best thing, but it's like, okay, I understand why you would want to do that. But I don't know how people process it in a healthy way if it's not like journaling or art or physically getting it out. So for me, I'm really glad that I found that. And I've always used music for that purpose. I started writing when I was 13 because I was being bullied basically. So like everything has always had its purpose for me. And you know, also for me, it's very much about self identity, trying to figure out who I am, what I'm supposed to be. And I think everyone kind of struggles with that from time to time. So hopefully that always makes my music relatable.
I have to say, yeah, after I listened to Everyone Will Die a few times leading up to this, and I got to say, I get sent a lot of music, and of all of the music I have been sent recently, and all the like major label releases and all that stuff that's come out recently, I can say with utmost confidence that this is probably the most genuine and relatable album I've heard in a while. Not to take away from anything else or devalue some of the other music that's been put out, because there's a lot of really good music that's been coming out, but I related to this one on more of a personal level. I've had quite a few deaths in the family recently,
Hear
and then
that.
you have your song, which we're going to be talking about here in a second. Your latest video for "The People I Know Don't Like Me,"
Mhm.
and I'm listening to the album, and that song comes on, and it's one of those things where you have music on in the background, you're kind of doing stuff, sort of listening to it, and that came on, and I kind of like stopped what I was doing, and like it felt frozen in time because I'm just sitting there listening to it, and it was one of those moments where I had to like stop it, rewind it, and listening to it again. I probably listened to that song about 5 times already.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
It's like I've been in that situation, in school and new jobs and stuff like that. So I felt that.
Yeah. Well, let me first of all, thank you. I really appreciate that. I always those comments are the reason why I stick to writing the way I write, because I really think if you write from what's going on and what you really feel, like that is what you just said is why I do it. Like when people come up to me after I release music or after a show and say I really related with that one, I'm like, well, I never write something to try to relate to people. But when it happens, it's like, wow, I must have really tapped into something. So that's really cool. And I really, like I'll co-write with some people. Like I write with April a lot and like Kevin, but for the most part, I'm trying to write as if it's a journal so that it's like organic and completely I forget the word you used, but sincere, you know. So I appreciate that you noticed that. Um, and for the people I know, that's the one that's not really about death. That's literally it. The only song on that record is not about death. And I wrote that because I've done I've worked as a carpenter and a roofer and a guy with a siding since I was 13 years old. My dad and my uncle co-owned a company, and um, then I also help my brother because he started his own construction company. So I do that in the summers on the side too. And I was working and I was just like looking at like the people that we were working for and who was on the crew. And I was like, man, like I haven't felt like this since I was younger, working roofing when I was younger. And it reminded me of how much I felt like when I was growing up that I was completely not like anybody in my hometown. And I'm kosher with everybody, but it always felt like you're looking at me in a very different way, and I'm also looking at you in a different way. I always thought like maybe my parents like moved there from somewhere, and like, no, we're from here. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I don't know why I don't relate to any of these people then, but yeah. So I think a lot of people who, I tried to keep that one simple so that it's like if you just don't feel like you fit in, that song's for you, and that's it. But it definitely goes on multiple levels for me. um, I was trying to cram all that information in the chorus actually in the beginning of writing that, and then I wrote it with April, and she was like, "Just keep saying I don't like the people I know, the people I know don't like me more, because that's the message." And I was like, "All right, that's cool. I'll totally sing that," and it made it much more hooky. So I was like,
Yeah,
"That's
it
cool."
definitely worked for sure.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Like I said, it struck a chord with me personally. So
Yeah. Does
not
that
what
feel
people
does
want
that
to
feel
do it.
relatable to you from your upbringing or your current day situation, or both?
Little bit of the upbringing, not too much, but kind of more in my adult life. This interview is about you, not necessarily about me. But
Ah!
I currently live in Kentucky. I grew up in Southern California, so I'm on the complete opposite side of the country right now.
That's much different.
And yeah, my mom is from here originally, so I do have family and stuff out here. But like, none of my friends are out here, so like, I'll work jobs.
Right.
Um, out here, and it's like I'll DJ and stuff like that, and I'm around like a lot of these like country boys, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but these big burly country boys and stuff like that, and Not me. I'm a
No,
West
I
Coast.
totally I totally get that because for me, it was definitely growing up, but then even more now, like, going through like, I have a strange identity thing with, like, looking in the mirror and not feeling like that's what I look like, um, and, same with just a lot of identity stuff with that, but also, like, never feeling like I really fit in. Like, I'd always be like, "Oh, maybe I should move to LA, like, I can be, like, a musician out there." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't really like the people out there." And then, like, "Well, maybe I can move to, like, Nashville." And I'm like, not really." And where I'm from, like, I grew up, like, on the outskirts of a town, so it was, like, a town that is infested with drugs. I'm on an outskirt in a kind of normal neighborhood, but not really a lot of houses around, and then, like, maybe a mile further away is a bunch of farms. So, like, I'm kind of a country boy, but kind of a town kid, and, I'm my identity is just, like,
All over the
and
place.
I don't know if that's artist. Yeah, I don't know, but it's totally like I'm just not gonna fit in anywhere. Even like right now I'm living in Central PA. I'm like, don't really fit here. Let's see where I move next, but I doubt it's gonna feel like any more. I find that, I think it's being an artist mixed with being you know, having the identity issues and then also just feeling like you won't fit in anywhere because you're just introverted. Like it's hard to find a circle. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I feel that. It's weird because like I've always been the social butterfly of my group. Like I have no problem talking to people, which is one of the reasons I do this. Like I can just pick up conversations, but I do feel that introvertedness for sure. So I can 100% relate to that.
I can do it like even like a conversation like this. This is how I talk to strangers too. But I need to really feel like I'm on. Um and it always feels like it's more like it's a discussion and less like I'm connecting.
I get you. I feel
You
that.
know? So, yeah. But I mean, I don't really necessarily crave it. It's just, I think a lot of other people do, and I'm like, maybe I should want that. But I'm cool with like being close to like 3 people, and that's fine.
I think as we get older, you just kind of get that. You're like, I got my friends and I'm good.
I always thought that with my parents too. Like, I was like, man, like my parents don't really like have friends. And I'm like, yeah, but they're like, 30, 40, 50 years old. Like, of course they don't have friends. Like, I totally get that now. Like, I just turned 30. Like, give me another 10 years. I mean, I don't know what's gonna get that. We'll
I turned 33 this year, and I have my best friend of, oh God, I've known him since first grade.
see.
So I have him, and I got my brother-in-law, who I've known for since like seventh grade, and then I have like two friends back home in California, and that's about it. I talk to on a
Yeah.
regular basis. I have like I have there's people I know that I still talk to every now and then and stuff like that, but like those are like the four people I mainly keep in touch with.
They're not the same as core friends. Like I have the same type of situation, and I find too, like, when you're this age, it's hard to find friends unless you meet them like in the workplace. And
Mhm.
like I don't have a workplace. Like I'm a free like freelancers don't really, and especially artists too, but like, and I don't really relate to other like singers or artists. They're not they're always too much something. It's like you're too creative and not grounded, or you're way too grounded and not loose enough. Like they're not balanced. They artists are not balanced human beings.
Why they become artists.
I mean, myself included. I just don't think I accepted it yet, but
Fair enough.
yeah.
So you mentioned a little bit earlier, and I hope this isn't too much of a sensitive subject, but you mentioned earlier you being bullied and stuff. Is this? I had read that you were half deaf. Is
Mhm.
that correct?
Yeah, so I actually have hearing aids in now. They like little tiny things. Um, I was born half deaf. Uh, my mom didn't really notice until she would be talking to me in front of me as a toddler, and I'd react, and then she would talk to me from behind me, and I wouldn't react. So, um, yeah, I'm born half deaf. So basically, most human beings hear at 20 decibels,
Mhm.
and I hear at 40. So
Oh,
that's why I say half deaf. So it's like if your TV's on volume 5 or on volume 10, I hear it at volume 5. Like it's kind of like that. It's the
got
most simple way. But yeah, so I was born half deaf and nothing really is people always ask me, "Does that affect my music?" And it's like I was born like that, so I wouldn't know the difference, you
Funny, I was
know.
actually just about to ask you that, but you're
Yeah, I assume that's usually what people ask about that. I've never experienced life with full hearing. This is the most close that I get with full hearing. My hearing aids kind of boost the treble, the high end, because that's where I'm worse. I hear low end better than high end. So like a lot of females' voices, I'm way worse at hearing, which is probably natural in men, but definitely more for me.
that's like the
So
hearing
it's
you get when we get older, right?
yeah, yeah. But I try to mix with my hearing aids in, so it's more normal. But it's definitely not the same as normal hearing though. Like, you know how like when you film something on like an old camcorder, you hear that room tone when you're watching it back? That's what I hear all the time.
Oh, okay, I got
Like
it.
and there's like compressors built in it, so if I clap, like they turn off and turn back on so that it doesn't like hurt my hearing. So there's a lot of stuff that I actually think it makes me a more irritable person, but at least I can hear a little bit more when I wear them.
I mean, I would personally take the hearing over the, with a side of irritability over, the alternative.
Well, I didn't start wearing them till 2019. Like, I had them as a kid, and I would just get I didn't get made fun of for it. I already felt so different, and then I'm like, "And a hearing aid, really?" But I started wearing them in high school because it was the first time they had Bluetooth capabilities, so I could listen to music.
There you
So
go.
I would and that literally turns off the hearing aid function and plays music, so I would just listen to music all day in high school. And then I didn't wear them all of college, all the way up until 2019. And then basically when I met April, I was like, I should probably wear these so that I can hear her and not, you know, I mean, I should try to contribute a little more. I think that makes me a little more introverted because when I wasn't wearing them, I was like everyone was just kind of like, he's just half deaf. It's acceptable if he doesn't like participate in conversation or orders his own food because somebody else would do it. And I'm like, no, like I want to be more present. So
Right on.
yeah, it's been difficult, but it's 19, 21, yeah, 3 years now wearing them. So yeah, but it's all right. It's fine. It is what it is, right?
It is what it is.
Yeah, it's fine. You take what life gives you and be grateful you don't have all the other things that could be wrong, you know?
Very true.
Yeah.
You know, this conversation has really like made it shine through really, I should say, solidified my opinion on your music that I mentioned earlier, that it's very sincere and genuine. Just for this, I'm like, yep, okay, cool. He's a genuine person. So
Yeah.
now I definitely see where you get songwriting your songwriting voice, I should say.
Yeah, I'm always trying to be transparent. I'm sick of the everything being so ingenuine. I cannot stand that. And it's so popularized right now. And I don't even know if the kids are noticing that it's not genuine or if no one cares or what, but I try to be transparent, and if that eventually means I say something that, might offend the community of people or something, it's like I know where my heart's at, and I know that I would never try to do that for any type of person. I love humanity, and I'm not I'm not worried about that. I'd much rather be honest. Like everyone's so afraid to be honest right now. So I'm I'm trying to do my tiny little part in being as honest as I can, and as transparent as I can, so other people maybe will do the same thing.
Well, that a few years ago, I had written an article, and it was probably a little too emotionally charged, in retrospect. But I had titled it, and this is very heavy title of why I hate pop music. That's what I
Mhm.
titled. Why I hate pop music, and maybe hate's a strong word. And again, this is in retrospect, but I went into stuff like that. Like it's not genuine. There's no heart and soul in it. Now I feel maybe a more recent time that's starting to come a little bit back around. There's a couple pop artists that I have grown to kind of like, I'll listen to. But still on the overall, in the grand scheme of things, I still feel you're right on the money.
Yeah, there's a couple pop artists that always shine through because the thing is, I love pop music, but I don't like the culture of pop music. Like, I love catchy songs. I consider my record pop. Like, I consider it a pop alternative. I mean, especially the people I know, if you just produce that a little differently, that's a pop song,
Oh, for sure.
you know? So, like, I just don't like the culture of what pop is, where it's kinda like this factory-made thing, there's 8 writers on it, which is great, makes it a great song 'cause there's 8 perspectives. That's why they're hits. I understand that, but it's not gonna be genuine to an artist. You can't make it you
Yeah.
can't genuinely feel the same way that 8 other people felt.
Right. That's awesome.
It's yeah, you're gonna be jumping, but yeah, no, and honestly, I don't think that's a horrible title. Yeah, "Hey Pop," that's fine, that's fine. I listen, yeah, I don't know. I'm very much it's hard to voice anything because 'cause you're afraid to be put in the left or the right category, and I'm right in the middle, but I'm very much so like, just say how you feel, and that's how you learn. That's how you learn about people and, how to grow. If you're just sugarcoating everything, it's all just gonna taste like sugary shit.
Quote of the year. I love it.
That's the best I have for that analogy.
I'll take it because it works. Uh, it's funny you mentioned that you consider your album a pop album, or alternative pop. Because yeah, my first listen to it initially, I was like, okay, yeah, it's pretty pop, and then I listened to it a few more times, and it definitely has that power pop feel to it, but you have that rock sound driving it. So to me, my initial kind of response to that is it was very reminiscent of the especially the SoCal pop punk scene that was going on when I was in my high school years and all that stuff. Less whiny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I try to be because I feel like my voice actually is pretty whiny, but like what's interesting though is that's just the production of it. Like for me, I'm like, okay, yeah, I chose to make an alternative record, which is why it sounds that way. But I could have made that whole record with 808s and snaps, and it could now it's pop. Like for me, pop is the structure. It's normally verse, chorus, verse two, a little bit shorter, chorus, tiny bridge, last chorus, maybe a double chorus, you're out. That's it. 2 minutes and 40 seconds to 3 minutes and 30 seconds. That's a pop song.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the formula of pop for me. So it's like, there's some amazing pop songs that are hidden in production that is rock. And then, the rock people be like, "Oh, I just love it because it's rock." And I'm like, dude, if someone that's why punk goes pop or whatever those albums are so popular.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, it's the pop song now, but in the sounds that I enjoy. Like a lot of people love the loud guitars and yeah, yeah, I totally get it, but I mean, I also just I really like catchy music, so I guess I shouldn't be saying pop, I should be saying catchy,
Hmm.
you know? But yeah, that's very interesting because I specifically, when I was writing that record, I was like, I want to make an alternative sounding record because I love like A Day to Remember I grew up on and like I love heavy music actually. I love Born of Osiris, like
Oh yeah.
yeah, like I mean I love heavy music and I don't think I can have the stamina to do it and I don't really want to scream on stage that much, but I love like the story so far and that's very similar to that and
Mm.
Knuckle Puck, like that kind of vibe. So yeah, I'm curious to see what I do for the next record. I kind of think I don't know if you've ever heard of Manchester Orchestra, but I think I'm going in the realm of the Black Mile to the Surface album of Manchester because I
Okay.
love the acoustic. I haven't used it in a bit, so we'll see if I'm going to use something of that. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, I look forward to that. I do love me some Manchester Orchestra. So
I literally just heard them. April introduced me to them. She was like, "You're from a coal mining town. There's this album by Manchester called The Black Mile to the Surface. You should listen." And I was like, "My God, this guy totally tapped into like where I'm from." And I was looking it up, and it was like he was like, "Well, I wasn't going through any tough times, so I went and I found this town and I wrote an album about it." And I'm like, "That is insane that you were able to do that and like actually tap into someone who lives 2 minutes away from a town called Coaldale." So like nailed it. I mean, I'm the audience that he has to impress for that record.
Hit the nail on the head on that one too.
Yeah, a very, very cool record. I gotta listen to the rest of them, but that one is the one that I've really
Yeah,
liked recently.
they work a lot. Yeah, their stuff's really good. They work a lot with Anthony Green from Circus Survive,
Mhm.
which is also a fantastic band. Anthony Green is just one of those like super talented individuals. Um,
Yeah, I he's touring right now, I think, with Laura Jane Grace. Do you know who that is?
oh yeah,
Uh,
Lauren Grace from Against Me, and then now she has her um,
Project,
kind of
yeah.
like a weird country esque, but not really country
I
project.
would say folk. I would say folk. It's a
Yeah,
little folky.
definitely.
Yeah. Um, and I think Andy Hall, who's the singer of Manchester, is also doing like a solo run right now too. Yeah, I'm trying to get a little more into them. They were a little more indie than what I listened to. Mine was more like A Day to Remember is a very polished pop band, even though they're screaming.
Mhm.
Um, like I love the polishedness of the production. So like I had a friend in college who loved Circus Survive. I listened to a couple of theirs. That just I'm not a super fan of them. Um, but like you ever hear the band Drugs? They had one album with Craig Owens.
One album, yeah, Craig Owens. Yep.
They released another song, but apparently no one is a part of it besides Craig now. But that record was so good too, and so polished and catchy. Yeah, crazy. I'm trying to think of who else I liked back then. Not even back then. It's just I really liked the heavy music when I was growing up, and now I'm more into the music that uh, calms me down. Like I love Tom Petty. Grew up on Tom Petty. I can listen to Tom Petty 24/7. Always have. I love more of the or like peaceful piano. Like I put that on in the background.
I can definitely relate to that. I really liked. I was super into punk and metal. I mean, I still am, but nowadays, like I find myself like I was listening to like a post rock playlist to like some Godspeed You Black Emperor, but then I'll also go at like I there's a genre I love called it's like atmospheric electronic. So there's this artist Tycho, and he has
Mhm.
this album called Dive, and it literally sounds like the soundtrack of you just chilling on a beach or just floating in the ocean and just that peace, and it's amazing.
That is very cool. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy that's honestly what like Spotify, that's my favorite thing to do on there. Like I don't really listen to I listen to my release radar. I'll usually like one song out of 20, which is terrible. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm that judgmental or what, but that happens. And then I'm like, I would much rather discover like interesting soundscapes like that,
Mhm.
like the meditation music or the reading playlist. Like those are so much more, like I said, I'm the same way as you. I still love the punk and I still love the screaming music, but I need to be doing something that elicits that kind of mood, like if I'm lifting or like when I was younger, I used to like listen to it driving and I would be going like 90 miles an hour. Like I don't want to drive 90 miles an hour anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll do, I mean, 100%. Exactly what you said. Like, I'll do DJ sets, and they'll be, oh, play top 40, which I hate, but like, or just play nothing but, like this, like trap and hip hop and stuff like that. And I'm like, I mean, okay, but there's like better hip hop than that. Non-judgmental. I'm no expert, but I'll get out of that.
Well,
I'm
I
like,
understand.
I need a
I
total shift change, and I'll go to like the Ghost Inside or something.
right. Yeah, see, I'm very indifferent with the trap sounding top 40 sounds now because to me that's all drum programming.
Mhm.
It's not really creation. Which I like a blend, like I think it's cool if you can blend a little bit of creativity with the computer. But if the whole thing sounds like a computer, I'm like, why do you guys like this? Like it's so computerized, and then the voice is so computerized and auto-tuned, which again, also auto-tune, great plugin. I use it, everyone I know uses it. It's like that's what you do to clean it up. That's what you do. It's the industry standard. Love it. Melodyne, love that plugin too. It is the same thing. But it's like it still shouldn't sound like a computer. You should only be fixing the tiny little notes that are off a little bit. So I just don't. I've never really liked. Unless it is so obvious. Like I'm trying to think. It's like, remember the song Blue by Idol 65?
Yeah.
I'm
Oh yeah.
blue, I would die, right?
My son
Like
loved
I
it.
love that song. I love that song. Very robotic, but like why don't I like the maybe it's because I can hear the lyrics. A lot of times you can't understand what people are singing now.
Yeah.
I
It
don't
also
know.
could be the genre that it's in, that kind of Euro tech or techno.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a factor too, because like,
I
uh,
don't know because I don't love that production. I just know that's a catchy song. Like there's a couple that shine through for me though, like the song Mood by 24 Karat Golden. Like
uh,
while you're in the mood, like great song. Hooky. I mean, it's very short. That's something very new and interesting that's happening where the songs are like
yeah.
they're like ringtones now.
Yeah, I'll get a list of songs to play, and I'm like, none of these hit the 3 minute mark.
No, it's like yeah, like I remember I was in a cover band when I started music in high school, and we would play the hits. So it'd be like, all right, you need like 15 to 20 songs to fill like an hour and a half. I
Mhm.
feel I feel bad for kids today if they're trying to do covers. Like you got to learn 40 songs
Yeah,
because they're
you
also
know, like
short.
4 albums worth of music just to cover.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy.
There's this guy. I guess you would consider him a rapper. IB Medic. I think it's the letter I, letter B, and then the word medic, METTIC. I think he's got some good songs, but none of them are like the ones that I've heard of his. Heartbroken, Spinning, and Tool. They're all like under 2 minutes, which is
Yeah.
wild.
I think it's just the kids' attention spans now. Like, I don't know what it's like to be 12, 13, 14 now, but I think I mean, for how, like, think about how fast you're scrolling. So songs are probably the same way, where it's like, it's hard to get them to listen to 30 seconds, which is what counts as a stream. So
Yeah.
it's like you can make a song 2 minutes and make them want to listen to it again. You'll make double the amount of money. Okay, well, now you're making 0.0001 cent. Now you're making 0.00012 cents.
Hey,
Did it.
it's that fraction of the penny, man. Gotta love Spotify. All right.
I will say it does add up though. Like Colors is my most popular song, and I make a decent a decent side income where I'm like, that's nice that I have that little bit just from every month that people are listening to it. If I can get like three more of that,
Mhm.
I would feel I wouldn't be comfortable, but I'd be comfortable enough where I wouldn't like really be worried about doing any kind of like side work. It'd be like I'm making actually enough money now on my income in music only. So, I mean, for how low they say, I'm like, if you can get like three or four where you're getting at least like 3,000 streams a day, you're pretty okay. Like my song Colors gets like 1,500 to like 1,700 a day, and it's like okay, like it's okay side money. So yeah, I always think of like what does Bieber make on Spotify? You know,
Yeah.
so much money. That's probably why they can't raise it, and you can't raise it only for the people who don't have a lot of fans. So it's like they're in a weird spot. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens there. I guess it's better than LimeWire. Could have been really bad.
All right, giving your computer aids. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember downloading songs thinking it was a song and it ended up being like a video file of something I never wanted to see. I don't know if that ever happened to you, but it's like, oh, Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses. Oh, that's like a video of birth.
Yeah, or something, the
Yeah.
I
Or something, exactly.
yeah, I don't think the kids, these days, I mean, the kids, I mean, we're both just 30 something, but it's funny, like with how technology has grown and then just like what's acceptable and censorship and all that stuff. What early days of the internet was just outlaw, like wild, the Wild West. Cause like you'd say, I'd go to download Blink 182 songs and then, oh, that's a video of someone being beheaded. Cool.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. It's interesting because it was definitely crazy like that back then, but it wasn't like that. Like you kind of had to do a deep dive to get there. Whereas like now it's like things are acceptable where like I was on Twitter, like I just opened Twitter when I was in public and like somebody doing crazy sexual something just came up on my phone. I'm like, I'm in a grocery store.
Yeah. I'll
Like,
get that too because like that music junkie on Twitter, you'll see the people you follow, and then sometimes you'll see like what they liked, and you're
Yep.
just, oh, okay, hey, all right,
Yeah, I'm like, why did I see that? And
looks
why is
like
my
this
friend
right now.
liking
Cool.
this?
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I know, I know. Yeah, or like if I'm like, if we have a conversation and you tell me something, like you said that thing about the one artist that maybe I look him up, right? And now I look him up on Twitter. Next thing you know, every time I go on there, it's like recommended for you, recommended for you. I'm like, I just wanted to Google him. Like, I'm not interested.
Yep. That's
Crazy, crazy. I don't like the robots. That's just me though, and I don't know if that's getting old or what, but I don't think it's getting old. I think it's just having some foresight of like where it can go and I don't know. I say this in almost every interview I do now. I feel like everyone is so in the screen and in their phone, and I'm like the only one who's like here now. It's so strange. I don't like that feeling, but again, then I go back to, well, am I just like this country boy who went around, lived all over the United States, and now I'm like going back to my roots, and I'm going to become this guy who lives in the middle of nowhere, going, "Oh, I can't believe kids are doing this these days."
nah, man. I try to be the same way. Running this. I'm pretty much the sole runner of this whole website, so like I unfortunately have to be on my phone quite a bit. But when it comes to music and everything like that, I try and to only stream like if I'm in a car and I'm driving somewhere. But like if I'm home, these are like actual vinyl records. These aren't little posters and stuff like that. So like I have my record player and I'll pop one on, and I get asked, "Oh, why do you do vinyl records when you can stream?" I'm like, "Cuz there's a whole act to this. There's a whole, you have to sit down and put the record in and set it down, and you can't skip songs. You sit there and you listen to the whole thing."
I
And
think it's more human. It's more human too. It's like you have to do physical things with this. Like you're a part of it. I will say, like, I have to be on my phone a ton too, especially with content. Like, I'm pretty much, I think I'm going the other way where I'm only going to be on socials when I release stuff. And when I don't, it's like, you're not going to hear from me for 6 months. And if the algorithm screws me on that, then screw it. I don't care. Like, it's so screwed up here. Like, I think it's making people have disorders and everything else. But um, the one thing I do like with music is the Alexa. You can just say to play whatever, and that way you're not even having to go on your phone. So
yeah.
like that's why it's interesting. I like technology. I just don't like the screen and the immersiveness of it.
Oh, for
Don't
sure.
make me feel like I'm stuck in that. Like make me let it be a part or a tool of my day, not my day.
Exactly.
you know? Yeah.
Well, you mentioned earlier about, getting those streams up regularly and listening and getting those monthly listeners. I gotta say, I feel like you're on the right track for it. And that's not just me, hyping you up or anything. I've read the reviews that you get, and it's nothing but high praise. Like you've got great high praise from like Kerrang and Spin and Rock Sound and all that stuff. So I mean, clearly you're doing something right.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I I rarely it's really nice, and hopefully I never drop the ball, and maybe someday I will, and that'll be fine. But I get good reviews, and most people say the same things that you're saying, where it's like, this feels genuine. I miss this feeling. So it's very cool to because I'm not trying to really impress anybody. I'm just trying to write the music that makes sense to me and feels good for me and makes me feel like I therapeutically got everything out. And then it seems to be connecting, and I hope it continues to connect with people.
Sure. Well, all I can say, all the feedback I can give you is, just keep it up because it's working for you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for checking out the record too. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So something new I started doing with my interviews. I'm gonna just do some quick fire questions for you. I've got four of them.
I'm terrible at these, but I'm ready. Go ahead.
It's cool. Just literally just answer the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay. hmm
What album are you listening to right now?
Black to the surface.
Perfect. It's a good one. Those of you watching, seriously, Manchester Orchestra. Uh,
Yeah.
what band slash artist are you most wanting to see in concert? Now that
See.
we can do concerts again.
Yeah. 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 It's either Regina Spektor because April's really into her and I've been listening to her a lot, or Manchester because Manchester is the new obsession that I have. I get very obsessed, you know. I just saw Biffy Clyro live. They were fantastic in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about them. So
They're
I need
so
to
good.
do a little bit of a deep dive on them.
Definitely listen to them. They're a fantastic band. That's someone new that I've never listened. Again, all the new music's been from my partner because I've been she has such a good she listens to so much more music. I'm more of like if I like something, it's like I'm just keeping that on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that. Well, I mean, Regina Spektor is a good pick anyway. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
what is the best concert you've ever been to?
Alice in Chains.
Ah, I'm jealous.
It was Alice in Chains, and half of it was because it was it was I don't know if it was the memory or how good they were. They were fantastic. It was loud. We snuck in, me and my two brothers. I have an older brother and a little brother,
Mhm.
and we snuck in, and we got like 10th row maybe, blasting. They sound amazing, three-part harmony. And I have a funny story, but it's really bad. It's gonna show me as a criminal, but it's really bad, but I'm gonna say it anyway. So we were at the concert and we snuck in, so you can't leave.
Right.
And we're drinking beer and we have to pee so bad. So we literally like were there and there was like rows of seats and we were just like, let's just take turns. Like we would just like turn over and like go to the bathroom in like a cup and then come back. It was like you couldn't leave to go to the bathroom. It was such a fun concert though. It was the right level of loose. The band was phenomenal. They were so loud. The three-part harmonies were so good. Yeah, really good concert.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Uh, that's
Yeah, it's funny.
oh man, I don't even want to ask the last question now because I don't think anything's going to top that. But
Oh, go ahead.
so you are a bedroom producer. You play guitar, as seen in the background. You
Mhm,
play drums.
mhm.
What instrument would you want to learn? Other instrument, given the time.
I, I've tried to learn violin twice, and I'm not good at it. I always thought violin would be so sweet to learn. That would probably be my answer, but only because every instrument I've ever wanted to learn, I've learned it. Like, I know how to play piano, I know how to play bass, acoustic, electric guitar. Drums, I'm okay at. I started with drums, but I'm not phenomenal, but I'm good enough where I can record it. Like, the new song that's gonna be coming out in June, I recorded the drums for.
Nice.
Um Yeah, but violin is one I've always thought would just sound so elegant and pretty. So that definitely violin.
Right on. I can dig it.
Yeah.
Well, Jacob, thank you for taking the time to talk to me. Latest album, "Everyone I Know Will Die." He's got the newest single. Um,
The people I know don't like me.
sorry, I was looking at my notes over there.
Good, all good, all good.
Newest single, "The People I Know Don't Like Me." Video just dropped. I'll link it in the description below. Jacob Kulick, where can my viewers find you?
You can go on all the socials, which is at Kulick Official, Kulick official, and my website is also kulickofficial.com. Uh, I'm there, or you can just Google it; it comes up. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Anywhere you can listen to music as well, YouTube, Spotify, all that, Amazon Music.
Definitely. Well, thanks again for talking with me, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely. See you, man.